Ignition sequence starts. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Liftoff. We have a liftoff.
Hey everybody, this is the Digital Asset Investor. Let's get this thing going. I'm going to start with Crypto Bull. XRP is about to break a 6 month resistance. I think something huge is about to happen. I like the sound of that. And then I like this one from CoinsKid. XRP bullish case, wave 1 of 5 taking XRP to $4.50 and beyond. So he's doing some of his charting, and that's what he is seeing. Again, I'm not a chart guy, but I like to show some people who are, and this looks like I like the way this looks. Okay, now this stuff about these warnings about cyber attacks has my antenna up big time. And I kind of put this one is the FBI's warning of the U.S. private sector to be prepared for potential cyber attacks. And you know, I think back, and every single time, I remember, was it Equifax that was hacked like a year or two, or maybe 3 or 4 years ago? And that one, like a lot of these, just about all of them, and then we've had different hacks of the U.S. government, you know, pipelines and everything. They never find out about them until 3, 4, even years after the hack occurs. But this time, our government's able to predict it in advance, almost like they have a crystal ball. And this sends my antenna up because I smell, it's like a coordinate, we keep seeing this from every angle. It's like a coordinated message of beware, there's going to be cyber attacks. Well, something doesn't smell right about all this to me. Okay, moving along. Now, do you remember the memo? Remember where Dax Hansen, in my last video, I showed you the memo that Ripple got in 2012, was it? That was their advice from Perkins Coie that XRP was not a security. Dax Hansen is one of the attorneys at Perkins Coie that gave them that. Well, this is Dax Hansen at a polymath event, and he's there with one of his partners, Lowell Ness. Lowell Ness is the same attorney that wrote the safe harbor that became the Bill Hinman speech and got Ethereum the free pass. So something doesn't smell right here. Okay, so I said, why is Ripple being sued? Now, Jeremy Hogan has weighed in on some of this too. He says Perkins and Coie wrote the legal memos for Ripple back in 2012. They assisted Hinman draft his 2018 Ether is no longer security speech. The Perkins and Coie website then posts that other senior officials and the chair of the SEC are in a growing consensus. Strange coincidence, but my wife looked at it this afternoon and thought of something I hadn't thought of. That the guidance Ripple followed back in 2012 is perfectly in line with the Hinman speech. She then argued, it's so well that I made her do a video with me. And here's a clip from their video.
Legal memo addressed Ripple's initial business strategy, and this is what it said about the initial business strategy. Looking at the second page, Roman numeral 3, paragraph A. If sold to investors who provide founders with the capital necessary to launch and operate new coin, which later became Ripple, the coins will likely be considered securities and subject to regulation under federal securities laws. So Ripple must have just ignored this advice and moved forward anyways, right? No, in fact, Ripple instead took this advice and came up with a revised business plan, which included not making sales of XRP to individual retail purchasers, but only to wholesale exchanges, and instead focused on obtaining private equity funding in order to build out the XRP ledger. And then, after making those changes to its business plan, Ripple went back to the law firm and received the October 2012 memo. And here is what that memo concludes. Looking at page 4, we believe that a compelling argument can be made that Ripple credits, which would become XRP, do not constitute securities under federal laws. Given the lack of applicable case law, we believe there is some risk, albeit small, that the SEC disagrees with our analysis. Well, now, as we know, the SEC did not disagree with that analysis and did not state that XRP was a security, despite knowing exactly what Ripple was doing with XRP, all the way until it filed the lawsuit 8 years later. And then going back to the memo for a minute. Later in the memo, under the legal analysis section, the memo states, we understand that the primary reason for purchasing Ripple credits, XRP, is to facilitate online commerce, not to engage in speculative investment trading. As such, given the commercial nature here, Ripple credits, which is XRP, should not be considered securities. And so, Judge, Ripple followed the legal advice contained in the October 2012 memo to a T. And later in 2018, Director Hinman's 2018 speech actually reinforced this legal opinion that Ripple had been provided 6 years prior. And then it reached out and discussed what it was doing with the legal.
What a farce this whole case is. Eleanor Terrett says both Ripple. So anyway, this right here I wanted to show you. Where does it say credits? Right here. So our XRP is also known as Ripple credits. Eleanor Terrett, both Ripple and XRP have been trending interchangeably since Thursday. So keep your eyes open. Now, I don't think I'm going to play this, but there's a series of videos that are going around where this guy is explaining to Joe Rogan about CBDCs, and what he's talking about is CBDCs and how they're programmable money, and he's talking in terms of the negative, the way in which digital currencies could be used by governments to control the people. Now, I've told you for a long time, I believe this technology can be used for good or for evil. I am for the good part, transaction costs being very low and speed of payments and all of that. I am not and never will be for any kind of programmable money that's designed to control the people and tell you what you can spend your money on and what you can't, and to try to tax you or to take your money from you with the will of the government. I am not for any of that. So any of the uses that go in that direction, I think there will be a lot of constitutional fights, at least in this country, if it tries to go that way. Now, John Deaton today, he said, I have an honest question for the Digital Chamber of Commerce and Perry Boring, who runs the Digital Chamber of Commerce. You filed a pro-hack motion to appear as amicus counsel. It was denied for not following the local rules. There's no shame in that, because I was also initially denied for the same reason. Any future plans on refiling? Well, I said, yeah, John, I would agree. These industry organizations owe the industry some answers as to whether they represent Bitcoin, Ethereum, or the industry as a whole. Here's Perry Boring sitting in a conference given by the Chamber of Digital Commerce with Joseph Lubin sitting just a few people down. And this was given in 2016. By the way, Dax Hansen is sitting right there. That's the guy that wrote the Ripple memo about the Ripple credits back in 2012. Here's Dax Hansen again, and here's Joseph Lubin at the same event. You couldn't make this stuff up if you wanted to, folks. John Deaton tweets this out to the Blockchain Association and Coin Center. I have an honest question for you guys. If the Ethereum Foundation and Joseph Lubin and Vitalik Buterin were sued by the SEC and it claimed today's Ethereum, including in the secondary market, are all securities, would you have filed for amicus? I still would have. John Deaton smells a rat here, okay? I can tell. Now, I'm going to skip over this one, but I did want to. Stefan Huber's been doing some good stuff. Lubin regularly makes references to his friends at the SEC. Go check his thread out. He's been adding a lot of stuff lately, but I'm trying to get to something I found that was as of today. This is from JV about this. I'll just play a short clip here. He says, this is why Ripple and XRP are hated. This is one of the guys that works at Ripple.
One thing on this note that I think is important, we're viewed, some of you who follow Ripple might know this, we're viewed in the broader sort of blockchain, Bitcoin space as a bit of a sellout, to be perfectly honest. So the blockchain is all about being sort of anarchistic, right? Down with the man, down with governments, down with big companies, down with banks. They're the central counterparty that is, taking our stuff or charging usurious rates. We believe that the blockchain revolution. What we're doing actually works from revolution from within rather than from out. We want to work with banks and regulators and governments.
All right, I think you get the gist of that. John Deaton also replied to Jim Cramer here, and he says, "You're a lawyer, Jim. You've made a bold statement that most cryptocurrencies are securities, yet you hold Ethereum. You started making this claim after your interview with non-lawyer political bureaucrat Gary Gensler. If you want to debate, let's debate with regard to these tokens are securities." Yeah, Jim Cramer, that guy's bought and paid for by these people, big time. Now, Charles Gasparino, breaking U.S. financial executives say, based on convos with White House and Federal Reserve, the cross-border settlement system known as SWIFT will likely not be shut down if Joe Biden cranks up sanctions against Russia over Ukraine. Big U.S. banks have been monitoring their counterparty risk regarding Russia for the past month and said to be prepared for the fallout when severe sanctions are imposed, more at 1:22 p.m. All right, next, wanted to show you this. This is from Stefan Huber as well, Stanford Law School from September of 2018. Joseph Grunfest was wondering why the SEC isn't cracking down on ICOs. Listen.
Year to date, you've already had $10 billion raised through ICOs. So it's actually increased a lot. And I don't see it slowing down anytime real soon, in part because I think we haven't seen as many regulators get as aggressive as I think they probably should in regulating what is a little bit of a chaotic market.
Yeah, I'm with Brad entirely. I was quoted in the New York Times a while ago as saying these ICOs are the most open and notorious violation of the federal securities laws since the Code of Hammurabi. And why the SEC hasn't been more active, they've only brought 7 actions to this point, is a mystery that I can't explain.
I think that we have explained it thoroughly on this channel. Now, this is a great tweet. Stefan Huber has been working his butt off today. The SEC wants to ensure transparency. Look at this. SEC Digital Assets Framework. 1. Was the blockchain funded in a traditional way and not through an ICO? Ethereum Consensus, Ethereum Foundation? No. Ripple, XRP, XRPL Foundation? Yes. Was the blockchain developed in the U.S. and did it adhere to U.S. laws? No. But yes, in the case of Ripple. Were the identities of the investors transparently disclosed during the financing? No, in the case of Ethereum. Yes, with Ripple. Were the largest holdings made transparent and the identities not deliberately disguised? Ethereum, no. XRP, yes. Did the financing of the blockchain comply with tax and money laundering laws? Ethereum, no. XRP, yes. Folks, you couldn't make all this up if you tried. This is so backwards what we are witnessing with what Gary Gensler and his SEC is doing and what Jay Clayton and his SEC did. None of it makes any sense. Watch this. Now this is from just a couple days ago, folks. This is Joseph Lubin. He went underground for a little while, but he's back. I found this on YouTube just a little bit ago. These guys are asking Joseph Lubin about regulations with regard to DeFi. Keep in mind, Coinbase was threatened. They couldn't do they were going to do Coinbase Lend. The SEC said, you do it and we're going to sue you. So they shut it down. BlockFi just settled for like $100 million. DeFi is under attack by Gary Gensler, but not Joseph Lubin. Joseph Lubin says in this clip that he agrees with Hester Pierce's safe harbor idea, but he says, we're working with these guys. We're talking to. But is he being threatened? Have you seen any of these Ethereum-based lending platforms attacked by the SEC at all? None of them. Listen to what he says.
So we were wondering, what's your take on DeFi regulations as a whole, right? Whether it's under-regulated, over-regulated, what challenges would you identify in regulating it at all, if possible, right? I mean, you beautifully laid it out earlier. If it's too tightly maybe looked at, it might choke, or it might push people to go fully decentralized, which is probably dangerous even in some aspects. What's your take on DeFi regulation?
So first, let me make it clear that I think there's 0% chance that a software engineer will get in trouble for publishing a DeFi protocol because somebody used the proceeds from that protocol improperly. So that's just That's just not the world we live in. There may be countries where that could happen, but not in Western liberal democracies. In terms of general regulation, again, publishing a DeFi protocol is likely to be protected free speech. If you are managing interactions with it, if you're making money from providing an interface to it, potentially, if you're custodying assets for anybody, then those kinds of activities could become subject to, could be seen to be subject to regulation. So I think there are a lot of scrutiny and discussions to be had to try to understand how this fits in with existing rules and whether existing rules make sense for these innovations. Hester Pierce of the SEC has been a strong advocate of something like a safe harbor approach, where we recognize, as we did with the internet and web protocols, that, hey, this is something fundamentally new, and we should enable the innovators to experiment with this and give them a little bit of time to figure things out. And what that could look like is, okay, you're standing up a DeFi protocol. It might look a little centralized right now, but if you get it sufficiently decentralized in a reasonable period of time where nobody's really controlling it, it's just a mechanism on a network, then you should be given a pass potentially to go ahead and do that sort of thing. So bottom line is, it's a powerful technology, and when powerful...
Did he just say you can get a pass after all these months of us saying he got the Ethereum free pass? You telling me that came out of nowhere? Listen to it again.
Innovators.
I think he just said he thinks he's going to get a pass on DeFi. That's what I think he just said.
Experiment with this and give them a little bit of time to figure things out. And what that could look like is, okay, you're standing up a DeFi protocol. It might look a little centralized right now, but if you get it sufficiently decentralized in a reasonable period of time where nobody's really controlling it, it's just a mechanism on a network, then you should be given a pass potentially to go ahead and do that sort of thing. So bottom line is,
this guy knows he got a free pass.
Powerful technology, and when powerful technologies emerge in a society has to decide how it wants those technologies to fit. And so we're having those discussions right now. The infrastructure bill in the United States was really great for driving awareness of A, the power of the technology, B, the power of the people behind the technology, the massive financial, energetic, and political power that could be wielded remarkably quickly by tech-savvy people in our industry. And unfortunately, also it elucidated the cluelessness of certain people who are making rules based on their 70 or 80 years of experience on the planet for the next 50 or
All right. And then I also found this clip that I think you'll find interesting. This is at ETH Denver, and they're talking about the Laura Shin book that's about to come out. Now remember, anybody who stands in the way of Ethereum or tries to compete with it is an enemy in the. And this is, look, I've told you before, this is a concerted effort. They've got the Bitcoin and Ethereum thing. This operation has been run for a long time, folks, and I've told you about the different tentacles. And part of the tentacles, and I could name names, I'm not going to, but part of the tentacles of this operation are to have certain talking heads in the crypto industry, and their job is real specific. You go after those that are the enemies. You think about it. Charles Hoskinson left Ethereum and started Cardano. That's a competitor. And then what did Gavin Wood do? He left and formed Polkadot. Okay? So this clip should not be a surprise to anyone.
A book by Laura Shin's going to drop soon. That's full of gossip about the early days of Ethereum. You know, some people come out not looking pretty good. You come out okay, Joe. Gavin Wood, Charles Hoskinson, not so good. They're not going to like this book at all. But
yeah, it'll be fun to see what you. And I said this. I said I bet I know two guys that can name some of those disguised Ethereum whales from the ICO. Mark my words. Even if Charles Hoskinson left too early, Gavin Wood knows. I'm the digital asset investor. I'm not an investment advisor. This is for entertainment purposes only. Please subscribe, hit the like button, and tell your friends and family that at least one of those two guys knows who many of those disguised whales were, folks. Make no mistake.